Open your mind and be willing to look where you haven't looked previously. Because there is more than one way to heal.
Hello there, it's Mandy Woodard, and this is Courageous Conversations. The show is all about our life journey and the growing and healing we go through. Sometimes it takes great courage to step out of where we are and choose a different path. I started this show because I wanted you to know that you are not alone, no matter where you are in your life journey. And my hope is that you will hear a story that I share or a conversation that I have, and you will get something out of it. You will have an aha moment or a realization, and you'll know what you need to do, because it is my belief that we are all here to help each other grow and become the best version of ourselves and find what our purpose is. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Let's get started.
Hello, my friend. Welcome to episode 24. I'm going to be talking about healing today and the different ways to heal. And I think that it's time that I really start talking about Reiki a little more. It's something I do a lot in my practice, but I don't feel like I talk about it enough. So that's what this episode is going to be about. I want to first address the elephant in the room, which it is for me. Maybe you didn't even notice, but I didn't show up last week. I didn't have a podcast episode for you on Tuesday morning like I typically do. And I feel like I want to talk about it and why I didn't have it, because I was in a really hard place. And I wanted to share this because I think sometimes when we follow people on the internet or we look to them for whatever it may be, as a mentor, as a guide, as someone who we get advice from, we think they have it all figured out all the time. And I have it figured out a good bit, but I also don't have it figured out a good bit. And I think it's important you know that. I think that when we put someone up on a pedestal, not saying that you have put me on a pedestal, but I know that it happens. You put somebody up on a pedestal and then you start to compare, and you'll compare your life to theirs. And that happens a lot, I think, with people in the coaching world, especially, maybe even in the healing space, where we look to this person that we go to for care. And they're so great. Like, I've experienced this. They are so great. But we forget that they also have lives and they have crap that happens that's not so good. And then they have to navigate it. And we have to remember that. We have to be able to acknowledge that someone is still human. So that's me. I'm human. I had a rough start to a week last week. I really did. And I'm not going to get into the details of it because it's personal, but I will say that I discovered something new that I needed to be able to process and work through. And so I wasn't able to show up fully. So I gave myself permission to rest and sit back and meditate and listen to my inner voice. And I hope that sharing that with you, you take that as it's okay. It's okay to not show up sometimes. I've talked about this before, how important I think rest is. I mean, it's got to be number one, because when we overcommit and we overdo, we cannot show up and give all that we need to be giving. I also have a lot of allergy crap going on right now, so I hope you can tolerate me. So I feel like it's really hard to admit my frailty to you, or when I'm struggling. It's hard to say that. It's hard to say, hey, I'm struggling right now. That's why so many of us, what's the response when somebody says, how are you doing? I'm fine. It's fine. Even when it's not. It's not easy to admit when life is hard sometimes. But if I didn't admit it, and if I didn't share this, then you might not know that, hey, she gets it. She knows how hard it is because she's in the thick of it too. But because I know how hard it is, I also know how much what I teach works. I do. I know it works because I use it for myself. And I have been on this healing journey myself. So I can tell you that, hey, these are the things I know work. And not just for me, but what I've taught my clients, what my clients have said work. Because sometimes what works for me doesn't work for you. And that's okay. That's why there are so many tools in the toolbox. And that's actually what I want to talk about today, is healing and all the different ways to heal. There's no one set path. I actually want to tell you, I have a couple reasons why I wanted to talk about this today. And I hate that one of the reasons stemmed from negativity, but it did. I'm just going to be honest. I saw a post from a therapist that I follow. Now I have unfollowed, to be honest with you, because I don't want to keep that in my energy field. I feel like he posts this sort of message on occasion enough that I don't want to see it anymore. So what's unfortunate is all of the good stuff he shares, the first couple of times he posted this negative message, and I'm going to get to that here in a second, I dealt with it. I tolerated it because I felt like there was so much good in between. But after this last one, I was like, why? Why am I still doing this? And we get sucked in. We get sucked into people and their energy or what we're doing because it's like, oh, okay, I can tolerate that bad. I can tolerate those red flags. You got to really ask yourself, one red flag, how much does it outweigh the good? Or how much does the good outweigh the bad? You got to assess. And that's what I did. I assessed and I thought, I do not like how this makes me feel when I read it. I didn't comment. I didn't say anything. I just went to his page and clicked unfollow. He was talking about spiritual healers, essentially. That's literally my line of work. That's what I do in my practice. I am a life coach. I do use practical life coaching tools. I use structured systems that other people have created. But I also use Reiki, which is energy work. It's healing on an energetic level. It's not necessarily a spiritual or religious thing, but it can be for you. It's different for everybody. Everybody's experience is totally different. Is that not the theme of today's topic? How different we all are. So he's talking about how you cannot manifest or visualize your way out of something. And so on the surface, that feels true. Yeah, you're right. You can't just manifest yourself better. You got to process things. You got to go through it. But the deeper message was that only therapy works. He says there are other modalities, but you can't just do those. You have to do talk therapy. And even that, I didn't completely disagree with. Like, I do believe talk therapy is really important. And I'm going to share my journey here with you in a minute, and you'll be able to see that, like how I've actually lived that experience. But then I get into his comment section. I saw the replies to his comments, and now I'm like, okay, now I'm really seeing. And I did not like the negative energy around the idea of an energy healer. It didn't feel good for me. I felt like this isn't a space I can be in any longer. So I left. I unfollowed. Funny enough, one of the comments he had on there was somebody said, if somebody tells me to try Reiki one more time. I was like, wow. Maybe I should reply to her and say, well, you probably should. You probably should try it. You can try anything once. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Move on. But why do we do that? Why do we get these judgments about things and then think that they're wrong or they're not okay? If you haven't ever experienced something, how can you really talk down on it? I mean, I'm pretty open. I'm pretty flexible. I like to be able to be open-minded to other people's beliefs or ideas. And I'll always listen. And at the end of it, if I think that that's not for me or I don't agree with it, then I just don't. But I'm not going to go out and tell the world, yeah, don't do that. But it got me a little fired up reading all of this because I know how much Reiki has helped me in my life. I mean, immensely. It's helped me so much. There's a Harvard study that was done. It shows that Reiki can reduce anxiety and depression up to 60%. Now, it's best done when you are doing it with other modalities. So talk therapy or journaling, things like that. Whatever is going to help get out what's in you. Sometimes we don't want to talk about things though. It's re-traumatizing to have to talk about it. Or maybe we're not ready to talk about it. So you need something in between there. I really believe that that's where Reiki can come in and help somebody. So let me talk about healing and my healing journey. I talked about this Sunday in an online workshop I hosted. And by the way, if you missed it, don't worry. There's going to be another opportunity to hop on another one with me. But I talked about healing and what it means to heal. And then we went through specifics for each of your energy centers and how your wounds affect each different part of your body. And it was pretty cool. And then we did a Reiki session to kind of heal, get some good energy in there and do some healing work. But I talked about this on that. And I was saying, sometimes when we hear the word heal, it's become either one of two things. It's become a catchphrase. Everybody's talking about a healing journey, going on a healing journey. Or the response is, I don't need that. There's nothing wrong with me. And it's not to say there's something wrong with you. Healing to me is more about growth. It's about repair. It's about being able to move on from a incident in your life and no longer have it affect you. Even if it's something small, it doesn't have to be some big traumatic event. Maybe somebody said something to you and it has stuck with you, or it's created a belief within you and a storyline and you haven't been able to move off of that. We see that often with money, confidence, things of that nature. But there is always something to look at, and it would be a fixed mindset. We would be stuck in that fixed mindset if we believed that we have nothing that we need to grow in. No area of life that we need to grow. And so that's what I want to talk about, the timeline of my healing journey and my times of growth. Because sometimes it is healing on a deep level. It's healing a wound or a traumatic event, an emotional event. And sometimes it's just the recognition that I need to grow past this version of myself and rewrite a story. So my entire adolescence, I was a worrier. People called me a worry wart on a regular basis. And can you just relax and chill out and all of the things. I was always anxious. But we never used the word anxious back then. It wasn't even anywhere near the surface of our minds of like, that's what's going on. It was stop worrying all the time. You're going to worry yourself to death. It was worry, worry, worry. That was the word. And I always just thought, it's just who I am. I'm just that. And I didn't understand it. I didn't understand why I was such a worrier all the time. But then in 2012, that summer, I had a severe panic attack. I thought for sure I was having a heart attack. And I couldn't get a hold of my mom. We were living at her house. And I could not get a hold of my mom. And I couldn't get a hold of my husband. And it made it even worse. I started to feel even worse. Finally, I got a hold of both of them. My husband comes home and he takes me to the emergency room. And that's when they told me, well, you're having a panic attack. And I was like, what? What is that? I mean, I had had little panic attacks as a child, but I never understood that's what they were until years and years later into adulthood. But I never had one to the point where I thought I was having a heart attack. Well, that's the first time I finally sought counseling. And I never did any before then because I was seriously so afraid of what was going to happen when I talked to somebody. I thought for sure they were going to want to medicate me, and I was scared of that. I thought for sure they would say, we need to send you somewhere, you're crazy. So I never wanted to talk to a therapist. Well, my chiropractor knew of one that was more holistic, and that wasn't such a trendy word back then. So she told me this. She's more holistic. She looks at things from a whole different perspective, and she doesn't prescribe medicine. And I thought, you know what? Let me give her a shot. Let me see. So I reached out to her, and she just happened to be going through school for it and needed hours. So I was extremely broke. We were a young family. We had moved back home to build a house, but also to pay down the debt that we had. We had a lot of debt, made a lot of bad decisions. So we were trying to get our finances right and then get into this other neighborhood that was better for our kids. And so I didn't have a ton of money to invest into therapy, but it just worked out. God aligned that perfectly. I ended up seeing her for 6 years, and she helped me through a lot. But I think I got to a point where I was like, how am I not past these certain things? How have I not been able to get through this all the way? And in 2018, that summer, funny enough, another summer story, I went to a candlelight yoga class. And at the end, the yoga instructor, who was also a Reiki master, was doing a Reiki meditation. And she went around to everybody and briefly did hands-on Reiki. And when she came to me, I was so like, whoa, mind blown, so mind blown. And I'll tell you why. I've felt energy my whole life. I never knew what it was until I experienced it in there. And I was like, so that's what this is. So it unlocked something for me. It opened this door that had been shut, that I've been needing to open. And I had so many beautiful experiences because after that, I didn't want to miss. I always wanted to go. And I either did the candlelight yoga or I did her monthly Reiki circles. So every month I was getting Reiki just about. Rarely would I actually miss. And I had the most beautiful experiences in those sessions and really, really tapped into my intuition. I feel like I've always been intuitive. I really have. And not just intuitive in the sense of like listening to my own North Star. I actually am somewhat of a medium. I don't claim that. Not yet anyway, but I don't claim that completely. But I've gotten messages and insight for things that I should not know. Like, there's no way I could have known that. And it amplified when I started doing Reiki. And I had these beautiful interactions with Jesus. And it felt so good to go down that path. And then in 2019, I started life coaching along with receiving this Reiki, but I wasn't putting the two and two together. I didn't realize how powerful those two things were for me. So just a recap, I did talk therapy for 6 years. Then I did Reiki. Then I did life coaching. You see how my path looks? In early 2021, I discovered human design. Somebody brought it to my attention and taught it to me. I'm a very good friend. And it unlocked a whole nother door. It opened a whole nother door that really propelled my healing when I first started learning about it. And then in 2022, I finally was able to become a Reiki practitioner myself. I wanted to do it at the beginning of 2020, but I don't need to remind you what happened in March of that year, which is right when I was supposed to have this. Everything got shut down. So finally, the opportunity presented itself again in the beginning of last year, and I was able to do it. And I didn't know how I was going to incorporate it into my practice. I knew I was going to offer Reiki sessions, but it wasn't my main thing. Like, life coaching was my main thing. But after practicing and also incorporating it into my life coaching sessions, So that's what I started to do. I started to make them both one thing instead of two different session types. I started seeing my clients heal in ways that they hadn't been able to heal. Some of them have done talk therapy. I have a client that has done talk therapy for 20 years. And she just told me, and I don't like putting this on me. I'm not claiming this for everybody, but this is her journey. And she said, I have gotten more out of my sessions with you in 6 weeks than I have in 20 years of talking. Why is that? She asked me, why is that? Is it the Reiki or is it the coaching? And I just felt like, you know what? I think it's just a combination of the both of them. It's amazing what can happen. It's amazing what can happen when you let the walls come down and you allow that beautiful light to enter into your soul and you listen to the insights that come to you. Because even the smallest things can have massive meaning to them. We write these little messages off like they're nothing, but they can have really, really profound meaning to them. So I share my journey because I really want to say this so loud and clear. I want to shout it from the rooftops. Is there's more than one way to heal. There's more than one way to grow. And if you feel stuck in that space, like you can't grow past where you are, like I've been doing talk therapy for years and years and years and I'm not getting anywhere, that's when you get to pivot and try energy work, try Reiki. This therapist that posts this thing, I just thought, oh my gosh, how is he really going to put a damper on that when it could be so powerful in combination with the talk therapy? Because now you have things that come up in therapy and you get to process them with a licensed professional who you'd hope would be good. Let me actually talk about that for a second. I've had a good number of therapists. I've seen a bunch of different ones. I've seen about 5 or 6 in the last 5 years, 6 years. Well, more spread out. I've seen them for marriage. I've seen them for family stuff. I've seen them for individual kid stuff. And I've seen them for myself. And I can tell you right now, not every therapist is created equal. And if you're in therapy and you're not getting anywhere, it may be a sign that you need to switch and find another one. It may be a sign that you need to try a different modality. This is where listening to that intuition comes in. And don't just stick it out because you feel like you have to. If you're not making progress with your therapist, then that's not the right therapist for you. Now, the first 3 sessions usually takes getting to know each other. So don't make a judgment call in the first 3 sessions, unless intuitively you are getting that it's not the right person for you. But I have had therapists where I left their office feeling so much worse than I did when I walked in. And not just because something came up in there. It's because of the way the thing came up and then it was handled. Wasn't good. I have also had amazing therapists. Some that I still quote to this day because what they said had such a profound impact on me. And now, on top of that, I've had a good number of life coaches. Some I stuck with for a really long time. And I've had not good life coaches. I've had life coaches where I'm like, wow, okay, yeah, I could have gone without this session. This did nothing. And then I've had life coaches where I'm like, damn, girl, you're hitting it. You're hitting me right on the head every time. How open are you, though? That matters. How open you are when you enter into a session. How resistant or how open are you? But then also, is this the right person for you? That's really important. This is why I don't make my new clients commit to me. Let's make sure we get along well. Let's make sure I'm your person, that I am the right person for you. That's so important to me. Before I wrap this episode up, I want to share with you a little bit more about Reiki, because I don't think it's known enough. I say energy work, but then you're like, what does that even mean? Okay, the basic understanding of Reiki is it's a Japanese technique for healing and relaxation. And what happens is you get into this space of being totally relaxed and you allow for that divine light to pour into you. That is what's happening, actually. Now, the Reiki practitioner, when you have a Reiki practitioner, what happens is because I've been attuned to it, I've been attuned to the Reiki energy, it enters in through my crown and the light comes out through my palms. And it sounds wild, doesn't it? Our brains can't make sense of this. And people are like, what? What? But it is as real as anything could be. And every time I lay down to receive energy work myself, I always get up and think, God, nobody could ever tell me that what I just felt wasn't real. You just can't. You could never tell me that. All right, so let me share with you, how does Reiki heal? And I wanted to get this right. So I pulled out so I'm an ICRT, International Center of Reiki Training practitioner. So I love their organization. They're very organized. It's very clear. You can't mess it up. The message doesn't get diluted. It doesn't get changed. So that's why I love is Holy Fire Reiki. So I'm reading directly from the book because I want you to get the very exact right answer. So how does Reiki heal? We are alive because life energy, or ki, is flowing through us. By the way, if you've heard of anybody talk about qi, it's the same thing, but qi is the Chinese word for it, and ki is the Japanese word for it. Reiki is a Japanese practice, so we use the word ki. Ki flows within the physical body through pathways called chakras, meridians, and nadis, and can also be present and pass directly through the organs and tissues of the body. It also flows around us in a field of energy called the aura. The free and balanced flow of healthy ki is the cause of well-being. It is ki that animates the physical organs and tissues as it flows through them. Ki nourishes the organs and cells of the body, supporting them in their vital functions. When the flow of healthy ki is disrupted, it causes diminished functioning within one or more of the organs and tissues of the physical body. Therefore, it is the disruption and flow of the healthy ki that is the main cause of illness. This is why, I'm stopping reading for a second. This is why I tell you, when you have an energetic wound and you don't get to heal it, for one reason or the other, it will manifest. It will find its way to your physical body. So stress, anxiety, emotional events, these things first affect your energetic body. And eventually, as that energy stays there from that thing, it finds its way to your physical body. And that's where this practice really becomes valuable, because it allows your body to relax fully so that your cells can heal. I do have people come to me who have migraines, they have back pain, they have shoulder pain. I have people with stomach issues. Now, only practicing Reiki is not going to fix it completely. But I will tell you, a lot of them message me feeling a hell of a lot better than they did before they came to see me. But there's other things. I work with other practitioners. I work with them with their other, I'm just one piece, and I encourage them to go to whoever else they may need to go to for whatever the ailment is. Because there's no one way to heal. That's what I keep saying. There's no one way to heal a cut. There's, I have this allergy thing. There's no one way to get yourself feeling better from allergies. There's a ton of different things that you could do. All right, I'm going to keep going. Ki is responsive to thoughts and feelings. When we have positive, optimistic thoughts, we can increase our flow of Ki, and this causes us to feel better. However, when we have negative thoughts, our Ki is disrupted and diminished, and we do not feel as good. When negative thoughts become lodged into the subconscious mind, they create a permanent disruption in the flow of healthy Ki. So here's where you can see that the life coaching piece comes into play. So a lot of times when I do a Reiki session on somebody, I can pick up the negative thoughts or beliefs. And then guess what? We get to sit together and reframe that or heal that. Sometimes it's completely subconscious, by the way. And that's the next thing is this happens when we either consciously or unconsciously accept negative thoughts or feelings about ourselves. When you end up with stuck energy, that is called byoki. And the byoki, B-Y-O-K-I, then attaches itself to the organs and tissues of the body and also disrupts the flow of a healthy Ki. The organs and tissues of the body can be affected depending on the location of the blockage. This diminishes the vital function of those organs and cells of the physical body unless the blockage is released. A person could eventually become ill. So when a person receives a Reiki session, the Rei, or spiritually conscious part of the energy, assesses where the person has byoki and then directs the healing energy. The Reiki energy then works with the negative thoughts and feelings that have created the byoki and are blocking one's flow of healthy Ki, and replaces them with healthy thoughts and feelings, thus releasing the byoki. Byoki. I wish I knew what that word was. And this can happen a number of ways. Hello, theme of the day. Number of ways. It all just depends. So, this is Reiki. Reiki is healing the unhealthy Ki of your body. It's spiritually conscious, spiritually guided energy that makes its way through to heal the things that you maybe aren't even consciously thinking about. Let me describe to you what your aura is. So the aura is a beautiful field of ever-changing energy patterns that completely surrounds all living things. However, the aura is actually composed of many layers, starting with an inner layer closest to and often within the body, and ending about 4 to 5 feet away from the body. Even higher layers can exist further out than this. Each layer represents a different part of the person's consciousness, with the inner layer connected to the physical body, followed by higher layers associated with the emotional, mental, and spiritual levels of consciousness. The aura is created by all of your thoughts and feelings, both conscious and unconscious, as well as the energies flowing through the physical body. Your state of health is reflected in the aura, as well as affected by the condition of the aura, and, in fact, may feel that the original cause of both illness and health is in the aura. So, that's as much as I'm going to read from that. I do feel like that information is vital. And when you don't understand what something is, that's where the judgments are coming in. The thing that I love about Reiki, though, is there's no barriers. You can give this distantly. I can send Reiki at a distance. I can practice in my office. And I get powerful, potent experiences in both areas. I have virtual clients that receive Reiki from me that I get just as much intuitive information. They feel just as good as my clients that sit with me in person do when the session is done. I guess what I want to say is open your mind. Open your mind and be willing to look where you haven't looked previously. Because there is more than one way to heal. And if you're feeling a judgment around something, maybe go learn about it. Maybe ask someone who actually practices and have a conversation with them. My healing journey has been so different. Your healing journey is going to look so different. And there's no wrong way. I love this metaphor of how we heal. Like a lot of times we say it's like peeling back the layers of an onion. I don't agree with that because I think peeling an onion is a little too clean and organized. Healing can be really messy. And sometimes we feel like we're healing things over and over again. So I like to look at it like there's this big pile of clothes in the middle of your floor, and you pull one layer out at a time. And sometimes when you're digging through your clothes, you are tossing them right back into the pile and you don't even realize it. So you might feel like you've healed this thing, and then you're faced with it again, but it might look a little different this time. We must be open-minded to our healing journeys. We must be open-minded to the direction we need to be walking. And we must listen to those little insights telling us which way to go. And that's the real message I want to get across today. Be open and listen to that inner voice. If you're getting nowhere in whatever you're doing right now, ask yourself, ask that inner voice, what do you need to do? God, present me with what I need to know. Give me the opportunity. I'll be open. My eyes are open. I am ready to receive. I have had to ask that so many times, like, all right, I'm feeling stuck here. I don't know which way to go. And then something will present itself to me. And I'll say, aha, I see. Thank you. Maybe that's Reiki for you. Maybe that's sound therapy for you. Maybe that's talk therapy. Because I do find I will be going back to a talk therapist. I just had a little counseling session a couple weeks ago, and I now want to go find a therapist that I can sit with because I just believe in all of it. I believe it's all important. Don't knock it till you try it. Don't knock it till you try it. Okay, I think that's good for me for today. I really appreciate you listening to me and showing up week after week. I really am sorry I wasn't here for you last week, and I hope that's okay. All right, my friend, until next time, please remember, you are valued, and you are loved, and you are appreciated. Bye for now.